of decisions made by the men around them. The Nobel laureate Malala says, we realize the importance of our voices only when they are silenced. So, the book and books like her stories are important to bring the voices of women to forefront, to shed light on the stories of women who share responsibility of the society equally to the men. This book is a testimony to the depth, dignity, and dimensionality to the women of Ramayana. What better than this book to be launched at the eve of Women's Day? And to launch this wonderful book, we have with us today Dr. Sita Paranjali. So I'll give a brief introduction of Dr. Sucheta. She topped the SSC merit list, winning 2 gold medals, 9 prizes, and a national open merit scholarship, and yet chose arts. Her goal was singular: to learn and teach Sanskrit. She went on to top the University of Pune at both BA and MA level, completed her PhD in Vedic studies, and became a professor of Sanskrit and Indology at Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapith. A renowned linguist, academician, and Sanskrit scholar, she worked on the Mahabharata project at the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, Pune, where she was also an Infosys fellow. She has taught at Leipzig University, Germany, and McMaster College, St. Paul, USA, and served as India Director for the Associated Colleges of the Midwest, Chicago. She has authored 3 books, edited 2, and written numerous research papers and articles. She is a fellow of Ferguson College, an honor she holds above all others. It is this lifetime of rigorous scholarship that makes her the perfect voice for lost among the smart stories from the Ramayana. I would request Ashutosh Ramgir sir to please welcome Dr. Sucheta Paranjali with a token of Arha. We are very honored to have you, ma'am. We also have the author of the book, Kalyani Sardesai. Kalyani Sardesai is a journalism and literature gold medalist whose work across 24 years has stood at the intersection of social justice, identity, womanhood, and culture, whether in the pages of a newspaper or between covers of a carefully researched book. Her previous work spanned a remarkable range: Child of My Heart, a comprehensive guide to adoption in India, Punya Katha, Pune's Story of a Million Years, Enable, an occupational therapist's journey, and When Love is Lost, cases from the family court of a change in India. Each one a document of lives lived at the edges of convention, law, and lawgiver. Lost among the myth stories from the Ramayana marks her first foray into fiction, and it is a significant one. An author known for rigorous non-fiction, turning to story as an act of reclaiming and negotiating space for womanhood. So please welcome Kalyani Sardesai with a round of applause. We also have with us Ashutosh Ramgir sir from Sakar Publications. Ashutosh Ramgir is the head of book publishing at Sakar Media Group, who has not only published over 900 books in the last 12 years, but is also at the forefront of democratizing the publishing industry. His innovative initiative, Anyone Can Publish, empowers authors from all walks of life to successfully publish their books. While he possesses an academic background in engineering, his heart truly belongs to the world of books. His commitment to making publishing accessible to everyone reflects his deep passion for literature and his dedication to sharing knowledge. Please give a round of applause for the publisher and his family. Now, the moment of unveiling the book, I would request all the dignitaries or the dais to please unveil the book.
The story is based on epics in the Ramayana, but I think it is still relevant today, and um, it, it signifies the aspect that these voices are to be heard.
When Kalyani first mentioned that she was going to write this book about a year ago today, I was very excited because the Ramayana is something I think every Indian is intimately aware of and very fond of. And our generation grew up on Sunday morning Ramayana TV. So, to shift the energy from the masculine story into the feminine and to tell the story afresh from the female's perspective was something that I found very, very interesting. And I've been speed reading the book over the last 2 days. And as always, Kalyani does not disappoint. It may be her first foray into fiction, but she's done an amazing job. She asked me to pick one excerpt from the book, and it was very difficult because each story holds its own. Each female character has so much more depth. But the one that I finally narrowed down was Urmila, for the simple reason that I myself am a clergy wife, and the separation that was there for Lakshman and Urmila was something that I resonated very deeply. So my excerpt is from that chapter. I'm going to sit because I need to my hands. Urmila, bridging the chasm. For we both know where we stand, and it is not next to each other, not yet anyway. Fortunately, that is where we are in unspoken agreement. Memories are convenient echoes, convenient and malleable, often more so than the men that inspired them in the first place. Because memories can be edited and created. Hello everyone, am I audible at the back? First of all, thank you so much. Uh, whether you come as lovers of literature, seekers of stories, or simply curious about what one woman found in the margins of an ancient epic, you are deeply, deeply welcome. For any writer, a book is an act of faith. Faith that someone will pick it up, open it, and stay. You are already here. That's the greatest gift. Thank God so much. And there are others without whom this book would not exist. To Ashutosh Randirji and Dipali Chaudhary of Sakam, thank you for believing in this work when it was built finding its voice. To Nupur for making the process so seamless. To Madhurika, whose illustrations gave these women a face. And to my editor, Anupam, your rigor, your patience, your insistence that the book be the best version of itself, my deepest gratitude. Now, on to mythology. The word myth comes from the Greek word mythos, which means a story, a narrative, a spoken account. Mythos is not a lie. It is a way of making sense of the world through stories. In contrast, there is another Greek word, logos, which refers to logic, reason, structured thought. Logos is where we get words like logic, biology, psychology. In simple terms, logos asks, how does something work? Mythos asks, and why does this matter? Neither is superior to the other. They answer different human needs. Noted mythologist Shurpanakha draws a distinction between Satya and Vidya. Satya is the objective truth. No one can argue with that. Water is H2O. Gravity pulls everything down. Vidya, on the other hand, is subjective truth. The truth of love, duty, honor, shame, longing. Mythology lives in that second territory, the territory that logic cannot map and science cannot measure. It is where we go to make sense of being human. And here is what we must understand. Mythology is not a relic. It is not something we have outgrown. It is the operating system running quietly beneath everything we call culture, tradition, expectation. It determines what we call virtue, what we term as sin, what we call a good woman. When someone says, and they still say it, every single day, let me know the Sita Desi. अरे वो भी साक्षात नाम है वो तो अपने मोहल्ले का रावण है we are mourning a piece of very old gold. Mythology shapes what men and women are permitted to want, how much ambition is acceptable, how much endurance is expected, how much silence is mistaken for grace. This is why the Ramayana matters. Not as a museum piece, as a living text. It is not just a story, but the story that shaped the Indian subcontinent. Across centuries, there have been countless versions of it. It asks the deepest questions about dharma, power, love, and its cost. But for most of its telling life, it has been Sri Ram's story. I mean, the name says it all. Ram Ayan, Ram's journey. His dilemmas, his choices, his antagonist, Ravana, the women, and there are remarkable women everywhere in this epic, are largely present as symbols. Sita, purity. Kaikeyi, scheming ambition. Shurpanakha, monstrous desire. Mandodari, wisdom no accident. Urmila, sacrifice so total, it barely wanted a line. But symbols cannot speak. People can. Lost to the myths is therefore an act of exploration. I did not invent new stories. Instead, I went to the margins of this epic and I asked, what do these women think? What did they feel? What would they say if their story were theirs to tell? Urmila is left behind when Lakshmi goes into the forest. 14 years, newly married. The text gives her almost nothing. As though her waiting was so naturally feminine, so inevitably expected that it required no examination. But waiting, I need to understand, is its own form of exam. Urmila became for me every woman who holds the world together while the men around her pursue glory, and whose labor vanishes precisely because it never stops. Shurpanakha approached Ram once. She desires him and she says, in a world full of men who take whatever they want, her directness is treated as monstrous and her punishment disfigured and mutilation are designed to destroy the very body that dared to want. Mandodari loves Rama, but with realize. She sees his moving gathering. She wants him, counsels him, and he does not listen. Hers is the story of wisdom without authority, of women who can see exactly what is coming, cannot stop it, and are waiting for it daily. Ahalya is turned to stone. Indra gets his vision. The question that haunts his story has never been adequately answered. Why does her body become the battleground for society's anxieties about sex and transgression? It is a question that echoes undiminished into the present. Kaikeyi is cast as a widow who destroys paradise. But I kept asking, why would a woman of war and intelligence, who understood the law of primogeniture, that the eldest son and prince must inherit, who had herself shaped Ram's education, why would she vanish? That too, only for 14 years. Think about it. A young man vanished for 14 years. Why not vanish him forever? What sense does that even make? Perhaps there is more to it than what meets the eye. And what of Shanta, Dashrath's eldest child, Ram's own sister, given away in adoption because a daughter was without value, only a prince and a son could keep a kingdom safe. The firstborn of the house of Ravana rendered invisible. These images are not accidental. And then there is Rama. An Apsara violated by Ravana who asks for the full arrogance of power. To whom does an Apsara belong? To anyone who takes a claim in a post-Me Too world. The story is painfully legible. A powerful man, a vulnerable woman, and assumed right. But Rama's journey does not end in victory. She chooses herself, as she says, I am Brahma and I belong to myself. That line is for every woman whose boundaries have never been tested and who lived to tell the tale. Of course, as we all know, the pioneer who paved the way for feminist retellings was Iravati Kalvi. The brilliant anthropologist whose landmark Uganda approached the Mahabharata not with reverence but with a sociologist's precision. She asked what kind of world this was, how far we moved through it, what Draupadi's life revealed about civilization and transition. And it is work that matters, not just on the page, but in the world. Because laws change behavior, stories change imagination. When we ask why Sita's purity had to survive fire, we are not really making a literary argument, we are making a moral one. When we refuse to reduce Kaikeyi to the gossip around her name, we are insisting that complexity is not a threat to tradition, it is the fullest expression of it. Thus, this book is not asking you to abandon anything or dismantle anything. It is asking you to read with attention, to ask whose voice is speaking and whose is listening, to notice what has been so thoroughly naturalized that we have stopped seeing it as a choice of word, to read with care. And when we do, when we really look, Urmila's exile is as real as ours. Shurpanakha's mutilation is as violent as any battlefield death and far less known. Mandodari's love is as complicated as any warrior's honor. Shantha's fate is no less poignant than Kali. These women are not footnotes. They are the story too. We are living in a time of great change and also great confusion. A time where women are achieving more than ever in public life and yet still navigating very own expectations in private. A time when we know that something is shifting, but the old stories have not quite read. This is exactly when mythology matters most. Because the stories we carry, stories we live. And if those stories tell us that a woman's highest virtue is her endurance, that her desires are dangerous, that her wisdom counts for nothing if she lacks authority, then those stories are costing us something. They are costing all of us something. But here is what I find genuinely hopeful about mythology. It has always changed. It has always been great to me. Every generation has found in the ancient characters the questions it most needed to ask. The women of the Ramayana were there before us. They are still here within us. In the questions we ask ourselves about duty and desire, about how much we should sacrifice and for whom, about whether our anger is legitimate or monstrous, about whether we are simply allowed to love. Listening to them carefully is more than an engagement with an ongoing tradition. It is a form of coming home sense. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kalyani.
थैंक यू मैम फॉर अपॉर्चुनिटी गुड आफ्टरनून ऑल ऑफ यू आज का जो ये मैं हिंदी में बोलूंगा कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं ये पुस्तक अद्भुत अद्वितीय अविश्वसनीय अकल्पनीय चीज को जन्म देता है जब मैंने इस पुस्तक में को देखा तो शायद यह पहली बार इस पुस्तक ने हमने आपने रामायण महाभारत सबको पढ़ा देखा है लेकिन पहली बार इस पुस्तक की करेक्टर महिलाएं खुद आपके सामने कुछ अपनी वार्तालाप को लेकर आ रहे हैं क्या थी शायद यही कारण है विश्व में हमारे जो देश है वह जगत गुरु के रूप में जाना जाता था ड्यू टू सच टाइप ऑफ लेडीज महिला दिवस के अवसर पर मैं एक छोटी सी कविता बोल रहा हूं चित्त जब पवित्र है तो क्यों यह दशा तेरी चित्त जब पवित्र है तो क्यों यह दशा तेरी पापियों को हक नहीं कि ले यह परीक्षा तेरी तू अपनी खोज में निकल तू अपनी खोज में निकल तू किस लिए हताश है तू चल समय को भी तेरी तलाश है समय को भी तेरी तलाश है धन्यवाद
Thank you so much for the powerful words, and I think we can conclude the event here. The books are available here, and you can fill those books at the counter at the end of this fair. And so now we have come to an end of the launch, and I would like to propose a vote of thanks. I would
इससे पहले मैंने आपसे बातचीत की थी और इस पुस्तक की अंदर छुपी हुई चीजों के बारे में बातचीत किया था, मैम का इंटरव्यू लिया था। आज इसी पुस्तक के मैनेजर मैम से बातचीत करने का मौका मिला और मैं उनसे जानना चाह रहा हूँ, जब ये सारी बुक्स लिखी जा रही थी उस समय उन्हें कैसा महसूस हो रहा था? मैम प्लीज।
Uh, Thank you so much. So I'm from Sakar. My name is Nupur, and I have coordinated this whole project. And I think Kalyani is not just a bold person, but she is a very well resourceful as well as very well researching person, because she has done an incredible job of bringing out the stories in their true form. And it is not just like some manghadat kahani. It is something that is very true, where she expresses what the story is, what the characters did, what their true personalities were, and she brings it out very well. So there are so many myth busting as well as a lot of new things that you will learn about this female characters. Like, I didn't know that Ram had an elder sister. Never in my dreams have I ever heard of this, I guess. So such new things, such nuances of character she has brought out very well. And I think that this is, everyone should read. Every person who has known Ramayan should read this book and understand that the female characters were also as great as the male characters we have been reading about. Thank you so much.
Thank you.